This video will demonstrate the installation of the tamper-proof security lid on the 9 and 9A pull box. First, an overview of the tools required. You'll need a small impact driver with an extension socket, a low-profile hammer drill for working inside the box, as well as a regular drill and various drill bits. You'll also need a 6 and 12-inch hammer drill bit. An angle grinder and other hand tools might come in handy. You'll also need the lid installation kit, including the security lid lifting handles, the locking tool, and the drill guide. The security lid kit should include the following: a steel bar that attaches to the back of the box to anchor the lid, with 2 set screws that can be tightened with an Allen key. 2 kinds of metal brackets, 2 threaded bars, concrete anchor bolts, 2 stop nuts which fit the threaded rods. Also self-tapping machine screws and 1/4 bolts. Washers will also be needed. This part is what we call the hat, which comes with 2 ears, which connect to the sides of the pull box. And this is the hardened security lid, which comes with 2 locking nuts and 2 dust covers. Be sure to have all the necessary parts before you begin. First, remove the cover from the existing box and set it aside. Test the fit of the hat on the box. If the box has been bent, you might need to straighten an edge or grind away an obstruction. Once you're confident that the hat fits on the box, install it onto the drill guide. Note that the drill guide is not the tamper-proof security lid. Attach the ears to the hat and the drill guide with the 1/4 bolts and washers, and hand tighten. Again, test fit the drill guide with the hat onto the box. It's a good idea to mark which way is up, in case the box has any abnormalities affecting the fit. Insert the set screws into the anchor bar, but stop short of where they would protrude into the threaded holes. Once the Allen screws are set, insert the threaded rods, making sure you don't turn them past where they are flush with the other side. Check and see if there are any obstructions in the box that would interfere with the bar going across the back wall. Also, make sure the set screws on the bar are pointing up for easier access. Insert the rods into the drill guide and set the whole apparatus into the box. Then you can push the bar back up against the rear wall. Attach the hat to the box with the machine screws to hold everything in place. Use a 12-inch bit on your hammer drill to make the pilot holes in the back of the box. We only need to drill as deep as is necessary for the length of our concrete anchors. Okay, I get that. Go ahead and start drilling. Drill out both holes. According to the manufacturer of the anchors, for best grip, you should remove any concrete dust from the holes. Use a shop vac to clean out the debris. Once the holes are drilled, you can bend the guide tabs back out of your way. Use a 9/16" socket to drive in the concrete anchors. Be sure to use a low torque setting to avoid stripping out the holes. Now we can remove the drill guide for the rest of the installation.
This part of it.
The threaded rods can come out of our way as well for now. There are two types of brackets that anchor the bar to the sides of the box. The single hole brackets are simpler, but if there is a conduit in your way, you need the versatility of the two-hole adjustable brackets. You can make these work regardless of where your conduit is. Use the 1/4-20 bolts along with the washers and lock washers to attach the brackets to the bar. Using the shorter hammer drill bit, make the pilot holes for the anchors going into the side of the box. This step is why you need a lower profile hammer drill. Note that you are drilling through metal and masonry, so be sure to use a bit that's appropriate for both. Again, we need to clean out the dust and debris with a shop vac to give the anchors their best grip.
Oh, because of the metal.
With the anchor bar firmly in place, twist the threaded rods until they hit the back wall. Then tighten the set screws to prevent the rods from turning. A small 1/8" Allen key is the only tool small enough to tighten these small screws so close to the back wall. Thread the two stop nuts onto the threaded rods about 3½ inches down. Now to assemble the cover itself. Attach the hat and the ears to the security lid using the 1/4-20 screws and washers. Hand tighten. Slide the lid over the rods, checking the fit with the lip of the box. As you can see, there's still a gap, so the nut needs to be adjusted back. To make the heavy lid easier to handle, screw in the custom lifting handles. Pull out the lid and adjust the stop nuts, checking the fit. Once you have the correct depth, take note of the measurement. We're going to install some Loctite to prevent these nuts from moving over time from the vibration of the freeway where the box is installed. Back the nut up a few turns and add a few drops of Loctite to the threads of the rod. Then work the nut back into the correct position. Double check the fit and make any final adjustments before the Loctite dries.
Double check. See, that one's a little too high.
Once satisfied with the fit, remove the handles and secure the hat to the lip of the box. Now, to lock the security lid onto the rods, we need our special locking tool. We'll do this a few times in this video, so don't worry if you don't get what's going on right away. First, we insert the key, making sure the 2 pins fall into the 2 holes in the back. Rotate the key slightly until it drops in. Once its pins are in the holes, it shouldn't be able to rotate anymore. Next, screw in the compression ring, which will push the pins on the key down into the mechanism, withdrawing the locking pins. Use the spanner tool to tighten down the compression ring. When you hit resistance, stop. There's no need to over-tighten this. If you can see 3 threads above the compression ring, it's down far enough. The lock nut has several holes on the back, though only 2 of them will engage with the pins inside the mechanism. Twist the lock nut onto the threaded rod and tighten it down with its specific spanner. Again, it shouldn't be tight just all the way in, touching the back of the mechanism. The stop nuts we installed prevent us from over-tightening these and potentially crushing or bending the box. Now, using the larger spanner, we remove the compression ring. This allows the pins in the locking mechanism to push up into the locking nut. To make sure those pins engage with the nut, we turn it either direction a quarter turn until we hear a loud ping. That turn lined up the holes of the locking nut with the spring-loaded pins of the locking mechanism. The springs engaged the pin with the nut, preventing it from turning further and securely locking the box. Now the key can come out and the dust cover can be screwed on. These should be tightened with some force using the larger spanner. Now let's do it again on the other side. If you look closely, you can see the holes the key will fit into. After inserting the key, the compression ring tightens the key down. Far enough that you can see 3 threads. The lock nut goes in. The side with the 6 holes always goes in first and is spun all the way down until it hits the back, but not over-tightened. The nut doesn't need to be tight because it's the pins that will be holding it in place. Now the compression ring is backed out. Must have been to take that one out.
Yes, I did.
But after you put. And the locking nut is turned, this time to the left. And as before, when the holes inside line up, the powerful spring-loaded pins will engage. The key comes out, and the dust cover goes on. And we're finished. With the security lid installed and locked, the box cover can now be reattached. The special unlocking tool cleverly fits back together and locks with a pin, so you know you haven't left any pieces of it behind. Now we'll install a tamper-proof security lid on the 9 box, which is wider and shallower than the 9A.
What's this one called? Is it a different name? This is a 9 box.
Besides the shorter threaded rods and the different size lid and hat, the rest of the installation kit for the 9 box is the same as for the 9A. First, install the hat onto the drill guide using 1/4-20 bolts and washers. Insert the set screws into the anchor bar and twist in the longer threaded rods from the installation kit. These longer threaded rods are not part of our kit just now.
They're not a part of the kit. They're actually a part of the drill guide.
Okay.
Which is we'll line that back up and we'll do all the stuff for the.
Insert the rods into the drill guide and set the whole assembly into the box. Attach the hat to the box with the cover screws and the self-tapping machine screws. Before drilling the pilot holes in the back of the box, you might want to mark the depth of the anchors on your drill bit with some tape. Drill out both holes in the back of the box. As with the A9 box, we can bend the tabs out of the way, then vacuum out the dust and debris for better adhesion. Install the anchors with a low torque hammer drill to prevent stripping. Unscrew and remove the installation rods and set them aside. Then remove all the screws holding the drill guide to the box. Now the drill guide can be removed. With no conduit or other obstruction in the way, the simpler single bolt brackets can be used. You can use any combination of the 1 or 2 bolt brackets that your specific box requires. Drill out the holes for the anchors using your shorter hammer drill bit. As always, be sure to clean out the dust and debris. Now we install the shorter rods that will be part of the locking system. We can tighten these down with pliers before locking them in place with the set screws. You would probably leave a hat on your drill guide if you're doing several installations, but since we only have the one here, we're taking it off and putting it on the security lid. There's no need to attach it, they'll just go in the box together. Make sure you have the 2 locking nuts and 2 dust covers with your security lid. First, install the hat onto the box with the 4 machine screws. Then thread the security lid over the rods. With the lid seated properly, insert the key with the 2 pins properly oriented to go into the 2 holes.
So it gives me a general guide. And I look for where it drops in. That way I know I have the right.
Screw in the compression ring and tighten it down until you can see 3 threads above it.
It goes all the way in, otherwise you don't have the key in the right spot. Do you want to show that, or do you not being in the right spot?
No.
You just want to show them there's a mistake?
Now the locking pins are withdrawn back into the mechanism. Insert the locking nut and tighten it all the way down without cinching it down hard. Remove the compression ring with the spanner, letting the spring-loaded pins push up against the back of the locking nut. And finally, twist the locking nut slightly until you hear the ping. That means the holes of the locking nut have lined up with the pins, and the pins have sprung out and engaged the nut so it can't be turned. Now remove the key and tighten down the dust cover. And repeat the process on the other side to finish locking the box. With the security lid installed, this original cover will no longer fit due to the metal rim on the back. This is held on with small pop rivets and can be easily removed with a few sharp raps from a hammer.
Corners first.
Now we can reinstall the cover, no problem. And as always, you should put your locking/unlocking tool back together when you're finished to avoid mislaying any of the pieces. If it all goes together like this, you know you haven't left anything behind.